All right, today working on getting a little bit of rust repair done on the firewall. There's a little seam here that's bad about collecting moisture, rusting out on the inside. So I'm going to take a little bit of metal off, probably right around here above all these little spot welds I drilled out. And I'll clean up underneath, cut a new piece, and tack it in place. Same thing up here. I've already cut this out and clean this up. You can kind of see where the problem is. It's all the way down. So I'm just going to do a little section at a time. I think I've decided on this piece. I'm not sure. I may cut it out. I may just rust encapsulate it, clean it up. It's all getting covered up. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. I just want it to be solid. This is probably the worst part right here. So that'll definitely be getting cut out. But as I move forward, I'm just going to keep updating, put all these videos together. See how it goes. All right, so really glad I cut that off. As you can tell, there's quite a bit of rust in there. I'll get that cleaned up, get it encapsulated, get some paint on it, get a piece cut out, get it back on, move on and do the next section. From here, I don't think it's as bad. There's a little bit, I can tell right there. I'm honestly just gonna encapsulate. I don't wanna get into too much metal work here, so it'll be on my skill level. But water runs down there, it doesn't sit as bad. Water sits really bad right through here. There was some seam sealer down through here, helps make up this little seam, and I think it just ends up holding more water than it does keeping anything out. Inside the cab, you can't tell anything. I know that's gonna be pretty pitted, but for what I'm working with, I think I'm just gonna, like I said, clean it up, shut it down, and move on to the next section. All right, so after cutting into this side right here, I decided to go ahead and move to the plate that holds the brake master cylinder. And I'm glad I did, because it's hiding a pretty good chunk. So now I think I'm just gonna go ahead and take this across all the way apart. This is a section I did earlier. I went ahead and got the rust stop sprayed on there. It's got to sit for 24 hours before you can put anything on top of it. I've used it on a couple spots just playing around with it. Even though I'm cutting this spot out, I just kind of used it. And you see it kind of turned it like a copper color. And so I'm gonna clean that up. I'm gonna cut some of that out and change it, but I just wanted to see kind of how that stuff would do. And so I'm glad I did this, because this was pretty bad. It was only gonna get worse and probably just start eating through my paint. But now I'll get that shut down. I'll get a lot of paint on there. I'm gonna put a ton of paint there. And then when I get my sheet plates cut out and get them back to where I'm gonna spot weld them, I'm gonna try to spot weld them back in the same spot. I'll just probably use a drill and clean me a little spot on each place and do my spot welds. But I'm really glad I did this. I'm not gonna be able to weld nothing today, but at least I've got this cleaned up. I'll probably cut and fit my pieces. And then as I have time, I'll just burn them in. It wouldn't have been too much longer, and inside of this cab would have started probably rusting through. And in time, I may still have some trouble, but for the build I'm doing, I think it's gonna be all right for a long time. All right, I'll update when I get more done. So I went through, drilled pilot holes, and followed it up with a spot weld cutter. This little $10 tool right here, man, it's been worth it. I've only gone through 2 of these. It came with, I don't know, 5, 6. I use them until they just about don't work no more. Probably could save myself a little time if I'd switch them out sooner, but I don't have a whole lot of spot welds left to cut either, so I might as well use them. But anyways, pretty happy with what's happened so far. I'm gonna go through, cut this out now, clean it up just like I did the other side. Let all this dry, get some paint on it, and get some metal on there and weld it back up. lot of that is seam sealer. Seam sealer and rust. This would rust encapsulator. I just did a brush on. That's where it's going. It's all going to pretty much be hidden. And the stuff that I'll sand off, it's not covering any rust anyways. This is where that plate will go back on, so I just went ahead and encapsulated the whole thing. Stuff's thick. It's like a paste. I know you can dilute it with some like xylene, and I'll probably do that because I'm gonna spray certain parts of this truck. I'm gonna actually spray the encapsulator, but I didn't feel like setting up the booth and all the trouble. Plus, I wanted it on really thick because this will probably be the worst rust I'm covering up. I won't be covering up a whole lot of other rust. I'll just be putting in a lot of other places that just more of a preventative. I'm pretty happy with the way that stuff looks though. And I'm gonna let it dry until tomorrow. You got 48 hours to let it dry, and then you have to sand it. But if you sand it before the 48 hours, or if you paint it before the 48 hours, you don't have to sand it. So I am going to paint it tomorrow. I don't want to sand it. Yeah, I'm happy with it. Went ahead and just kind of brushed it around in there. There's a couple spots I sanded around that just had like some minor surface rust. So yeah, that spot won't be causing me any trouble anytime soon. I could put a little over here, but I'm not too worried about it. I'll sand it around some more and hit all of it with some primer. But yeah, pretty happy. A lot of progress today. Wish I could start welding it back up, but I can't. I gotta let this stuff sit and then get some paint on and let that set. But I feel good. That little seam that these two sections create, man, it was just full of chunks of rust, chunks of old seam sealer, and now when I put it back together, it's just gonna be nothing. Fresh metal, fresh paint, fresh seam sealer. All right, I'll keep you caught up.